Hey everyone, look, we've all done it. You click add to cart, right? But have you ever stopped to think if that one little click could actually do some good in the world? Today we're going to dig into Fyaril, an e-commerce platform that's trying to do just that. They're engineering sustainability right into their very DNA, all the way from the factory to your doorstep.
So this really boils down to the one big question Fyaril is trying to answer. Can an online purchase actually help the planet? I mean, it's a huge question, right? It kind of goes against everything we think about consumption. But Fyaril's whole bet is that the answer is a big yes, but only if you build the entire system for it from the ground up.
All right, so how on earth do they pull this off? Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at how they see sustainability as way more than just a buzzword. Then, we're diving deep into their secret sauce, this Reshape, Recognize, Reward strategy. And finally, we'll tie it all together and see how just one purchase can create this huge ripple effect for good.
Okay, first things first. We've all seen those vague eco-friendly labels, right? They can mean anything. Fyaril decided to skip all that. Instead, they anchored their entire mission to something solid, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. This isn't just marketing fluff. It's a real, globally recognized standard for what they're trying to do. And that framework breaks down into 5 core goals. Yeah, they want to advocate for sustainable living and sell eco-friendly products, sure, but here's where it gets real. They're all about owning their ethical practices, across the entire supply chain. They actually measure their impact on people and the planet, and they're building a whole community around this stuff. It's the whole package, a truly holistic approach.
So goals are great, but how do you make them happen? Well, that brings us to their core strategy, the real engine behind everything they do. It's a 3-part plan they call Reshape, Recognize, and Reward. This is the blueprint for their whole ecosystem. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Step 1, they actively work to reshape how their vendors do business. Step 2, they make sure those positive changes are recognized so you, the customer, can see them. And Step 3, they reward the vendors who are really committing to doing better. Let's dig into each one.
All right, let's kick it off with Reshape. This is all about getting hands-on with their manufacturers. See, they're not just passively looking for vendors who are already sustainable. Nope, they're actively helping to create more of them.
And this is where it gets really cool. It's not just some simple checklist. Fyaril sets super specific KPIs, key performance indicators. So sustainability isn't just a fuzzy idea, it's a hard target. Like, hey, you need to cut your water usage by 15% this year. And they actually go there. They do factory visits, check out the raw materials themselves. But they don't just lay down the law. They actually educate their vendors, teaching them about everything from tricky international regulations to the basics of a circular economy. Making stuff that's built to last and can be recycled.
Okay, so Fyaril is doing all this amazing work behind the scenes to reshape the supply chain. But what about us, the customers? That's where the second pillar, Recognize, comes in. I mean, think about it. What good is all that effort if we can't see the difference it makes? This step is all about making the invisible visible.
And this is so important because, let's be honest, the demand is already there. A whopping 78% of us are already trying to live more sustainably. We want this information. We're actively looking for brands that are open and honest about their impact, and that's exactly what Fyaril is tapping into.
So what kind of impact are we talking about? Well, a huge one is women's empowerment. I mean, just look at this chart. It shows a pretty stark reality, this massive gap in labor force participation between men and women. And for Fyaril, sustainability isn't just about green trees, it's about social justice, about equity. That's why they use their platform to really highlight and support businesses that are working to close that gap.
And check this out. These are the results in black and white. We're not talking about vague promises here. More than half of their vendors have women in top leadership roles. 55% are run by artisans from marginalized communities. You've got almost half focusing on clean energy, and another 45% who have seriously cut down their water usage. These are the real, tangible impacts they're making recognizable.
Okay, that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Reward, because you have to give vendors a reason to keep pushing, right? So Fyaril built this awesome incentive system that also happens to build trust with us, the customers. And the main tool they use? It's this system of vendor badges. Just think of them as these super clear, easy-to-read certifications. You see a poverty fighter badge, you instantly know that company is creating jobs for underprivileged communities. You see an empowering women badge, you know they're serious about gender equality. It's brilliant, really. The system rewards vendors with more visibility, and it rewards us with trust.
All right, so we've got the theory down. Reshape, recognize, reward. It all sounds great, but now
let's see how this whole thing actually works in the real world. We're going to follow a single product to see how one purchase connects all the way back to the planet.
But before we do that, let's hear it straight from one of the vendors, a company called Pam Surth. They literally call Fyaril a game changer because its focus on sustainability opened up brand new markets for them. That right there is the reward system in action. Being sustainable actually becomes a competitive advantage.
Okay, let's make this super real. Picture this. It's the holidays, you're shopping online for some cool decorations, and you stumble across these gorgeous, handmade papier-mâché Christmas ornaments. On the surface, it's just a simple, festive buy. But inside Fyaril's ecosystem, there's a whole story packed into that one little ornament. Let's unpack it.
So first off, just look at the material. Papier-mâché. It's naturally sustainable, made from recycled paper, totally biodegradable. I mean, compare that to the cheap, mass-produced plastic junk that sits in a landfill for, 1,000 years? It's a no-brainer. And this is where the magic happens, where it all clicks together. Using that sustainable material, that's the Reshape pillar at work. The fact that the vendor is also highlighted for their no child labor policy, that's recognized in action. And for doing all of this, they get rewarded with that green vendor badge, which tells you, the customer, exactly what you're supporting. And that is the whole point, see? It wasn't just a random purchase. The entire system is designed so that when you bought that ornament, you were also supporting recycled materials, you were supporting ethical labor, and you were supporting a business that genuinely cares. A simple click becomes this tiny part of a huge, global, sustainable ecosystem. It's pretty powerful stuff. Which really just leaves us with one big question to chew on, right? Fyaril is proving that it's totally possible to build a system where making money and doing good aren't enemies. So, if one marketplace can figure out how to engineer a model that reshapes, recognizes, and rewards sustainability, what's stopping everyone else?